Mhm.
So when we take a look at this as a TOV nerf that is happening in this OTA, obviously it has nothing to do with, oh, look, well, you got to remember that balances and patches and adjustments, like they're constantly working on stuff.
Gauntlet, yes.
Yeah, this kind of stuff, they've been clearly looking at prior to the Golden Gauntlet. And I think Golden Gauntlet for the public was just affirmation at how good that card was. Because you look at the percentage of people who brought it, how well it performed, both in Ozymandias style decks and not. Like, it was such an incredibly strong card. So I'm glad that they did something to it because there was that chance that, well, imagine if we got to see it more. It not about like second dinner stuff. I'm talking like as a player, there's only so much TOV I can handle. There's only so much.
You got to get a vaccine, you think?
Yeah.
No.
There's a joke in there somewhere. I'm just not getting there fast enough.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was being serious.
I know. I was looking at some of the data and I was breaking it down. I was looking at card packages and builds. And I mean, obviously TOV did, for lack of a better term, really well. Like really full board, top 16, people who qualified, etc. Everything. It did incredibly, incredibly well. It was the highest performing combo package of, and this is where it's interesting, at least for me, because it's Fisk, TOV, Martyr. That 3-card package of TOV specifically. Now TOV gets hit and Martyr got hit. Fisk didn't. Which I'm surprised.
I don't. That was in my FOTA where it's like, do people realize how jacked up that guy is?
Mm-hmm.
That guy's really good.
Really good. I agree. But now that 2 of the 3 out of that combo were hit.
I'm just saying, of those cards, only one of them is in Unhelpful Yoda's deck.
Yes.
And it ain't the one that got nerfed or the other one that got nerfed.
It's true. It's very, very true. I was trying to figure out like what gets you to do well in a tournament and what gets you to like qualify, what gets you to Worlds, what gets you to top 16, etc. And one of the most interesting stats I was looking at was we all really were assuming there was going to be a high prevalence of Captain Carter combo, right? We just assumed incredibly strong deck, really high ceiling. There were more decks of Captain Carter combo that finished at 4-2 than any other deck.
I suppose that's what happens when the deck is really good, but the most played card in the field is Shadow King. That's life.
Yeah. The number one like differential matchup was the Captain Carter combo deck versus decks that ran Mobius and Shadow King.
I'll say this. I didn't get as far in my TOV testing as getting to Cosmic Ghost Rider with the tech package.
Mm-hmm.
And the list that Andre Var and Movi took, I think that one swings the matchup meaningfully. Like, I think that like you are now actually functional into that matchup where previously I would say it was kind of touch and go even with the Shadow King.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get there, it's like even against a good player, I feel good about this.
Yeah. And as I sat down and I'm really looking at like how many people are bringing Shadow King, and it's a pretty accurate reflection to competitive play in general, right? The percentage of people that are playing in the top 10% that are playing Shadow King was almost nearly exactly reflective of the entire pool of people in the Golden Gauntlet who also brought Shadow King. So I found that correlation also really interesting. Like, they're both right around 35% of the field. Number one played card.
Shadow King was only 25% of the field.
No, I'm saying in top 10% infinite, it's 35% of the field.
Oh yeah, sure.
It was like, it's GG, number one. Yeah. It's number one in GG, number one in top 10%. And I was like, interesting that it almost feels like more people were playing Shadow King just because it felt like that's what they have to play.
Yep.
Because it wasn't just like the top 10%, the top, performers played Shadow King exclusively. No, it was like the entire field, 1 in 3 decks were running Shadow King. So I found that interesting because then you look at the Captain Carter combo deck being the number 1 deck that finished at 4-2. Well, that means that 1 out of 3 games you faced a Shadow King. So yeah, you ended up at 4-2. It was like everything worked out perfect.
I don't even think you're supposed to lose to just a Shadow King. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a good card to see, but it's definitely like the kind of thing where it's like, not only have I beaten Shadow King, I've beaten people grandmastering Shadow King. Like, as long as you're on the level and be like, I'm capable of beating this, I'm doing what I do. But the Cosmic Ghost Rider Shadow King pin, that one's dangerous. That is the thing that I think was the nail in the coffin for Captain Carter insofar as, like, it's obviously still a very good deck.
Out of the decks that qualified for Worlds, so anybody who went 5-1 or 6-0, the number 1 most effective card, what do you think it was? Like the card that was in the most of those decks.
What are you defining as effective?
I shouldn't use effective. That's probably a poor choice of words. What was the most popular card in decks that went 5-1 or better?
Oh, Mobius? You wouldn't be asking if it was Shadow King, so I'm just ruling him out.
It's not Shadow King, no.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say Mobius.
Wilson Fisk.
Oh, right. Sure. Yeah, I probably should have come up with that one. Yeah.
Like, it wasn't really like even close.
No, he's a monster.
Absolutely chaotic. So it almost makes me think, like, imagine if we had Golden Gauntlet right after. And the TOV was this version, the 2-cost version.
I mean, I think you probably just see a lot more people doing other things with Fisk. This is my thing. Like, they're aiming at TOV. Like, TOV is the problem. But, like, man, I do not know about that.
I think it is probably the more appropriate one to hit versus Fisk because of the full conversation you had before regarding Mobius. It is an enabler of having more Mobius in the meta. And that's not as good. So you kind of hit that deck by hitting that because it hits 2 cards at once.
100% agree. To be clear, I think that part of the reason I hit Fisk instead of TOV is I didn't have an idea to nerf TOV that uncoupled it from Mobius. Everything everyone talks about with TOV is like, make it scale more, make it more expensive. And it's like, that just means I have to play more Mobius. Stop it. Yeah. That's the exact opposite direction this should be going.
This is literally the exact middle ground between how it released versus to what it is now, because it started as a 2-cost that scaled, then dropped to a 1-cost that scaled, and now it's a 2-cost that doesn't scale.
It started as a 1-cost that scaled 2, then dropped to a 1-cost
that's what I meant
that
to say.
scaled
My apologies.
1. Yeah.
What I meant to say. Sorry. But
I'm just taking it. I'm taking it so the comments don't.
That's fine. No, I mean, and they're probably going to comment anyway, so. Because they paused it right at that moment anyways. So like, wait, stop. No, hang on. Must correct.
Just like
my glasses are wrong right now. Sorry, must correct guest. Yeah.
Yes.
It's what happens. So anyway, I was trying to click through and trying to find some like interesting little nuggets and data pieces, and I think the biggest surprise looking at those who qualified was the amount of Phantom X.
That should not be surprising.
Well,
I promise you.
No, I know we all still undervalue the strength of Phantom X. I know that. I get that. I'm curious how much of that effectiveness is because of it being a pretty damn good counter against Captain Carter combo versus how much of it is just it's a good deck.
It's mostly about being one of the few decks in the metagame that is a great Shadow King deck that can hide a lot of its power and throw priority against Captain Carter combo. So that's obviously good. And being a good Killmonger deck means you have some equity into TOV. And so you just sort of naturally have this trifecta of tech cards, Shadow King, Killmonger, and Mobius, that cover a lot of ground in your matchups. when you're doing things like that, the Gambit is especially good into Carter decks because they play like 3 cards by the final turn of the game, and then they play the rest of their cards, and they have 75 power. But like just messing up sort of specific ordering things that they do, changing how many things are getting a Captain Carter buff, things like that are just like, it's got a really good natural matchup into that. It's very solid into a bunch of the point decks. It is a wildly underrated deck. And I've been doing videos that in my videos, I've just been like, everyone switched off Phantom X for no reason. And they shouldn't have done it. And it was very good. And it's still very good. I did talk to the person who top 16 with it in Ika's chat recently. His name is Exo. And he's like, KM, I was mad that you didn't put my exact Phantom X list on there. And, you know, shout out to that guy. I appreciate your passion and how mad you are. But yeah, like I just sort of think that I think you can kind of do a lot of stuff in that space. And as long as you hit those bases, you're good to go. And so you just have a lot of things that are good. You got the Phantom X package itself. Wild Child is a 2/9. You got Old Gambit. You got Killmonger, the 3 tech cards that we already talked about. Phantom X himself is like a 4/19. And I think what happened was Lady Bullseye came out, and so people started playing Luke Cage. And so we're like, I got to stop playing Phantom X. And like, no one picked him back up. They just like put him down like Woody in Toy Story. I don't want to play with you anymore.
I'm done.
He never got picked back up. And so like I would consider that wildly unsurprising to me. I just think that Phantom X is like not like free money, but if you ask me to guess what the best performing bad, like off meta quote unquote archetype is, this is the easy money right there.
Is it off meta though at this point?
No, it's not. That's the thing. Like, that's a meta deck that people just don't play. But meta is about popularity to some degree, right? So who cares?
God, that's scary to think, because I've always been someone who's just kind of sat like, I don't know if this is a deck. You know, like I've never been a full, I don't know if true believer is the right word, but like a full-on believer of that deck. And more and more and more, I keep seeing this kind of evidence of like, yeah, it's a combo deck. It does cool things and does a lot more than you realize. Like, I think the strength of Maros, you know, has been getting more and more obvious to me. The strength of Gambit obviously has always been really fun. And it is it also seems like it wants to be more difficult than it probably actually is. Like, it just comes off as a deck persona wise. I don't know if this makes any sense, but it seems like a deck that should be difficult to pilot. And it intentionally pushes people away because it's like, okay, you have this condition, and this condition to make this deck work, right? You have to do a destroy, you have to do a discard, you have to get the Phantom X down before on turn 5 at latest, so that you can do all of those things. You have to hit all of that to Exodia combo.
You also have to remember to use them. I can't tell you how many times, like, it's super easy to mess up. Like, there's so many conditions in this deck that I mess up my ordering. I'll like redo my final turn 3 or 4 times. Because I'll have done something like, okay, I'm playing Killmonger Gambit final turn, right?
Yeah.
So those are my triggers for Phantom X, obviously. But if I've already discarded a card, what I want to do is activate Phantom X before, or either way, those are my triggers for Phantom X, right? So I need to activate them after, right? But what you want to do is you order the Killmonger first, then you do the Gambit, then you do the Phantom X, so that you get as much things off the board as possible and hit things that are actually going to be on the board after the Killmonger, after the Gambit with the Phantom X. And you're like, KM, that's really obvious. And like, buddy, trust me, I almost messed that up 4 times yesterday. It's harder than you think. Like 75 conditionals. Sometimes your destroy comes from blowing something up, and sometimes you have to order it such that you use your zombie Captain Marvel. And you don't always want to do that, because if you use your zombie Captain Marvel, well, she's going to move, and you want her to move after she sees the Phantom X stuff. So sometimes you'll just totally blow it and go the wrong way, and it'll do nothing, right? Like there's That's not even to say, because like the more times I redo something, the more likely I am to just forget to click and activate. There is a lot of bullshit that you got to do in this deck, dude.
No, you're not wrong. Here's a stat that I want you to realize, and this is for everybody regarding this deck. Phantom X is the only deck that had a positive win rate against both the Fisk TOV stuff and the Captain Carter stuff throughout the entire competition.
Least surprising stat of all time. Fully believable.
I think believable. However, I think a lot of people undervalue what the deck, like myself, fully admit on that one, fully truly undervalue the strength of what that deck is doing as, I wouldn't say a off meta deck anymore. I would say it is the dragon type deck of the meta. I'm using one of your old references, really? No?
No, I don't think it is, though. I think it's a very good deck, but not like invulnerable or anything, just very good. And it's not like perfect match. I don't think the dragon type thing has the connotation there, to be honest with you. I think it's much more like steel type, where it's pretty defensively oriented. It's about establishing its own defenses before executing a game plan that is like fundamentally premised on that. It's about restricting your opponent's output rather than your own output. And there are some pretty ridiculously pronounced weaknesses for the archetype too. And so it's a good deck, but I don't think it hits what we'd be talking about there personally.
Last stat I want to leave you with, just kind of put the final nail in the coffin with the gauntlet stuff. 2-card package, top performing of anyone who qualified for Worlds was either, it was right up the top of, it's Mobius and Shadow King or Martyr and Techno Organic Virus.
Sure.
Basically.
Yeah. I mean, that's the
Which
same
makes total
deck.
sense,
I
right?
believe you. Yeah.
No. Exactly. No. But then on the opposite end of it, in that same category, for those who got to 4 and 2, but then didn't qualify, number 1 combo, Captain Carter, Mother Ascani.
Yep.
So sad.
I got one more Golden Gauntlet there for you. Every time we do a Golden Gauntlet, the same thing happens.
What?
The decks come out, and all my friends are like, who the hell would take this piece of shit card that's in the top 10? Who the hell would do that? And I want to give a special shout out to 2 cards that have consistently absurdly high play rates based on their performance. And they are Magic and Shang-Chi.
Oh my god. Yes.
It's one of the fascinating things about Golden Gauntlets is like, it's a free registration tournament. It's open to everybody. Magic might just be the single best card in the game from a sales standpoint, on the theory that even when she is horrendous, she is at the very least the hottest person alive. I saw that look you gave to the camera. I know you're implying it. The second thing, though, is at the very least just like what she does for certain decks is irreplaceable. And people love playing those kind of decks. And the play styles she enables are incredibly popular despite not being very good at all. And I don't know what Magic stats were. I haven't looked at the sheet recently. She was like, I don't know, card number 4 or something, and her win rate was like 40%. And it's like, God bless you, Magic gamers. Like, everyone who complains about like, oh, they're giving Magic all these variants, they're just like cashing in on the Gooners. No, dude. This is gonna sound weird, but people love Magic for her gameplay. Full stop. Like the reason they keep making Magic variants is because this card is probably the most popular card to ever be this bad. They're not cashing in. They're not cashing in soullessly on physical attraction. They're cashing in on the gameplay of the card. People love her.
I think if you dissociate sales with success, your argument continues to hold a different kind of water.
Sure.
Because people buy it for different reasons than they play it.
Look, all I'm saying is I think a lot of people sort of have a cynical view towards why they keep making Magic variants, and I would like to say there's a slightly less cynical view you could take, which is that this card is the most popular thing to do in this game that isn't good.
Magic was the number 4 most brought card to the tournament, and it finished with a 40.6 win rate against decks. That is the exact same win rate as Shang-Chi.
Shang was like 9 or 10, right?
9.
Yeah. It's like, it's worse for Magic, right? Shang is like, it's vestigial. People just remember him being good in tournaments, and so they bring him, right?
Yeah.
But Magic, I don't know where this comes from, because she's just not ever been a card of that level, but people love her. Like, is there a point to which you have to start assuming that like some percentage of the field is just gonna like, you just gotta be like, yeah, man, I'm gonna pack the extra Scarlet Witch in my deck because 10% of the people I play against just gonna have a Magic and I'm gonna win. Like, you just have to bake this in to Golden Gauntlet prep is just like, for reasons unknown to anybody, the cards Magic and Adam Warlock will be vastly overplayed. Adam Warlock was 5, right? What was his win rate?
Adam Warlock was number 10. His win rate was 47.6.
Hey, man. Crossed the Magic barrier handily.
Yeah.
Shout out to Adam Warlock. I think he probably crossed the Magic barrier handily largely on being included in like the second tier of TOV decks. But hey.
When you look at the performance of Golden Gauntlet, and 2 of the top 10 are at 40% win rate. Those are people playing on feels. And when the next weakest card doesn't show up for like dozens and is Arnim Zola, and it's barely worse in win rate, you got to look at that guy.
But like, again, Magic is like the 4th most played card, and she's like one of the, like, if you cut out the ones that are just like basically no sample, I would bet that she's the only card that is top 10 in representation and bottom 10 in win rate.